Hello, everyone. Thanks for coming to our session. This is Economics Department. My name is Rado Vadovic. I am the undergraduate supervisor. I adjust my volume. Hopefully you all can hear me well. I'm here with our undergraduate administrator, Renee Lorty. So she will be, looking at and monitoring the chat window. If you have any questions during this time that we have together, you can please type them in, and Renee is either going to answer if she has the answer, or she will reach out to me, and then I will address it as I'm talking. What we are planning to do today is I'm going to first just do a little presentation, okay, for about 30 minutes or so. I'm going to talk about what economics is. Many of you, some of you may have taken some social sciences or economics in high school, but maybe some of you have not. Okay, so I'm going to tell you what economics is about from our perspective. And then I'm going to tell you a little bit about our program, okay, and some of the features of our program. And then after that, we can have a little chat. You can ask questions, and I think that will cover the time that we have together. Okay. Let me say it right now at the very beginning. At the end of the presentation, I will have a slide with our names and our email addresses. So if you happen to have a question afterwards, you can find us in the question and answer booth. So either there until 3:30, either me or Renee will be there, or both of us, or you can email us. Okay, so if you have some, it's probably good idea to jot down our email addresses, and so you can reach out if you want to know more, if you have some questions. Okay, so let me put my presentation here in the presentation mode, and that will make it a little nicer. Okay, so let me start by sort of introducing to you the field of economics from my perspective. Okay, economics is about, as you will see during the next 15-20 minutes. Economics can be about a lot of things, because economics is not necessarily seen as a discipline, but also you can view it as a toolbox, as it's a collection of tools and methods that you can use to apply to very wide array of your life, or of things that you see and experience around you. But there is a common theme to economics, and that is it is a study of figuring out how to live better, right? How to improve our welfare. In other words, how to maximize what we have, okay, and at the same time minimize the cost. So in other words, how to bake the largest possible pie that you can with as little ingredients as you can. Okay, so that this principle that I just told you about, hopefully you can picture. I mean, I'm pretty sure many of you have cooked before or baked pies. So this principle is called efficiency. Okay, so that's a central concept in economics. We are trying to take any process. By process, I mean how people do things. Okay, ways of doing things. So process of baking a pie would be following a recipe, for instance. Okay, but all organizations, whether they are businesses, whether it's government, any place, or university, any place where you end up after Carleton, will have certain processes, ways of doing things. Okay, and all those processes will have some degree of efficiency. Okay, that you will have to take certain actions to get certain results, and many of those processes can be improved. Okay, so redesigned in a way that you don't have to go through as many steps, that you can do things faster. Those are all the questions that economics addresses. Okay, economics addresses how to make more juice out of the lemon, right? How to squeeze more juice out of the orange. Okay. All right, so that is the sort of a general overriding theme. And because of this, economics is therefore applicable to many different areas of life. You can apply to business and see if you can optimize the business processes. You can apply to government, okay? Optimizing the processes and outcome of government work. You can apply to medicine, okay? Our bodies are economic systems as well, okay? Because the energy is being distributed throughout your body, and the cells are competing for resources, okay? It's a market economy inside your body. I'm pretty sure you have not viewed your own bodies in that way, but it is. So here on the slides, I have the very first picture, and that is, I think, if I had to tell you what economics focuses more or primarily at, it would be incentives. Okay, what are incentives? Well, carrot and stick. Okay, incentives are could be boiled down, right, or almost always in the form of reward and punishment type of a scheme. Okay, they come together, and of course, incentives are important because they motivate our behavior, and then our behavior determines how happy we are or how sad we are. Okay, in other words, it determines our own welfare. Okay, so economics focuses, this is the center of the attention, is incentives. Okay, now an example of an incentive. Why do you get up in the morning? Why do you even get up from bed? Okay, ask yourself that question. Well, I'm not going to wait for answers here, but I'm going to answer for you. Okay, you might get up because you need to go to work or you need to go to school. Well, there are incentives, right? That's an incentive to get up. What provides that incentives to go to work? Well, some people go to work because it pays bills, okay, because of the money that they earn on the job. Other people go to work because they have fun, okay? So hopefully you will end up in the latter category, okay? But that's the incentive. Another reason why I get up in the morning from the bed would be that you are hungry, okay? Now, some people just get hungry and they want to eat breakfast. Well, that's an incentive as well, okay? So that just to illustrate, incentives come in many different forms and shapes. It could be money, okay? It could be something that you get, okay, you obtain as some materialistic reward, but it also could be a psychological reward, right? So you eat and then your belly is full and you are instantly happy. One experiment you can conduct right here, right now, is just hold your breath. Hold your breath for a little bit, and you will very soon experience incentive that your body has evolved for thousands and thousands of years to make sure that you survive, that you don't suffocate. Okay, if you didn't feel that unpleasant feeling, when you are holding breath for too long, okay, you might just forget to take a breath. Okay, and then your body cannot survive. So those are incentives. So as you can see, economics is applicable to many, many, many different areas of life. All right. So because we focus on economics, we have to learn about other things. All right. Sorry. Because we focus on incentives, we have to learn about several other things. First, behavior. Okay. Behavior is important. Why? Because the reason why we are interested in incentives is because incentives affect behavior. Ultimately, we would like to influence how people behave, and then we can design ways to make them behave in a better way, to improve their welfare. Okay, so we have to study behavior. So when you study economics, you spend a lot of time learning about how people behave, and you will spend a lot of time learning, about how to conceptualize a model of behavior. The second thing we have to learn about are markets. Why markets? Well, because markets are man-made structures. Okay, markets are like buildings. We created them. Okay, or most of them, I should say. Some markets arise naturally, but most of the markets we have created, and because we have created them, we can change them. We can restructure them. Okay, and what's important is that markets, they produce incentives. Okay, the incentives come out of markets. So, for instance, a market would specify prices. Okay, when you go to grocery store and you see prices listed on the price tags, okay, those prices are not there accidentally. They were not randomly written on the price tags. They are a product of very serious and long deliberation, right? Thinking on behalf of the store managers and the management, okay, who probably look at lots of data on sales, okay, and what the competition is doing, what other groceries are doing, and all of that information is boiled down into that price tag, okay? That is a product of the institution of market, or market institution. And a grocery store, that's just one type of market. But we have many, many different types of market. And when you study economics with us, you will learn about all these different types of markets and different ways in which the markets produce prices or wages. But it is not just traditional markets that economies are studying. We are also focusing on institutions. So they are really also markets, but we call them institutions. And by institutions, I mean, for instance, rules and laws. So for instance, take speed limits on our roads. Okay, speed limits have to be designed. They are a product of, again, deliberation on behalf of policymakers who pass laws to limit the speed at which we can drive cars. Okay, but what is a speed limit? Well, speed limit is just an incentive, right? It provides an incentive for people to drive up to a certain speed. You can exceed the speed limit if you want to. Sure, you can do that. But then you have to face the stick, right? Then you might be caught and then you have to pay a fine. Okay, so that's very much falls under the scope of an economist. There will be an economist who would write a report, a cost-benefit analysis of what happens, what would be the consequences for the society of raising or lowering a speed limit. All right. Okay. All right, and at the bottom here is an economist, right? So this is where the economist gets plugged into this circle, and the economist primarily is responsible for design. So we as economists, in collaboration with many other people, okay, with lawyers, with politicians, etc., okay, but we design or help design markets. The markets then produce incentives, the carrot and stick type of incentives that motivate behavior, okay? And that behavior then results in our happiness or satisfaction or dissatisfaction, which we jointly call welfare, okay? So here I would like to say that economics is a big part of that is focused on design. Okay, so in that sense, if you wanted a comparison outside of social sciences of what economics would be, I think the closest comparisons would be to architecture or engineering. In a lot of what we do is we try to understand how people behave. We try to understand how markets function and what type of incentives they provide. And once we have that understanding, okay, and we by now know a lot about that, but once we have that understanding, we can affect this. We can change this, okay? This is where we can do a lot of work, and we can rebuild the architecture in such a way so that we can make then people better off, okay? Whether that's your organization, business, company, or whether it's a government, and we are talking about countries, whether it's a whole world, right? Now take the example of climate change now, okay? That is a major problem of incentives. How do we get countries to commit to environmentally conscious strategies? That's a very complicated problem, right? That will require some binding agreements, but it is very unclear as to how to make those agreements binding. And when I say binding, I mean the stick, right? If you break them, or rewards, carrot, if you obey by them. Okay, so a lot of people think that I should keep an eye on the time here also. So a lot of people think when you ask them about economics, mainly people who have not been exposed to economics before, they think that economics is about money. Okay, money comes up a lot when we survey people um, who are non-economists, and I have to say that that is not a bad opinion about economics. Money is very important, but economics is about so much more than money. Okay, it is certainly about money. In fact, there is a subfield of economics that is entirely devoted to studying money, and that's called monetary economics. Okay, but then there are other very important subfields of economics that focus on different things in which money do play an important role. Why? Because what is money? I don't have a time to do a whole lecture on what money is, and you would certainly learn a lot about it in our program. But just in one sentence, you can imagine money to be like a cardiovascular system in your body. So the blood flow, right? A system of veins that basically delivers nutrition and oxygen to all the parts of your body so that your body is healthy and well functioning. That is probably the most close comparison that I can make that you would understand from basically your own experience about money. So it doesn't matter whether you are talking about labor relations, whether you are talking about environmental policies, whether you are talking about health economics. Um, it will in one way or another be connected through finances, okay, through loans, through interest rates, through funding, and so on. And that, of course, will have in one way or another to do with money, okay? So, and of course, if you do financial economics, then obviously money is in the forefront on the main stage there, right? In that area. Now, here is an interesting graphic right here, okay? And that is a graphic that I took from Oriana Bandiera's talk in 2018. If you want to go to YouTube, and that's a very, very nice, it's 1 hour long, but she's very engaging and it's very informative talk if you are interested. But one of the graphics that she showed is that what they have done, they've analyzed about 1,000 academic articles in the top 5 journals in economics in the past 3 years. Now, this is from 2018, so past 3 years would be between 2015 and 2018. So still quite recent. And this is a word cloud of the titles of those articles. So the titles of the academic articles would have words, and they just did a word cloud. So that means the larger the word, the more frequently it comes up in the titles of more recently published research. Now, they also have done a word cloud from like 30 years ago, okay? And 30 years ago, economics was a lot more about theory. So theory came up in forefront, money came out in the forefront, growth came up in the forefront, as one of the most frequent words. All of this has changed, right? Now, if you see the modern economics, it's about evidence. Evidence is very much in the forefront. Why is that so? You can probably guess why that is so. It is so because our world has become completely digitalized. Okay, we are interacting with devices. I am talking to you through computer right now. Okay, so it is very much of a human-computer interaction now. And because we spend so much time online, we spend so much time on our devices, a lot of our behavior, okay, that we as economists absolutely need to understand, okay, in order to design incentives. So a lot of our behavior is recorded by those devices. Okay, so you would probably know in social media, right? If you are part of social media, your trace, right? Your trace of your actions, it's all recorded on the social media servers. Okay, that is all an information. That's information on how you behave, and that information is stuck in databases. And then different companies have these huge databases that are being accumulating by millions of people interacting with computers. Okay, like for instance, Google. If you do Google search, okay, your Google search is saved for some time on Google servers. Okay, and that information can then be analyzed and used to to sell the companies the rights to advertise on Google, right? To place their advertisements to the top of your search outcomes, um, and that is an important source of revenue, right? For sites like Google, etc. Okay, but so what I mean, so the bottom line is there are these large databases that different organizations now have that didn't exist 20 years ago. Okay, internet has really enabled this, and so now these large databases contain a lot of information on how we behave, and we can use these databases to test all of the economic theories that have been evolved over the past 200 years. Okay, and so now what economists do primarily is not only develop further theories, but rather test theories and throw out those theories that turn out not to be consistent with data, with evidence. Okay, so ultimately, economics is a science, and a science is driven by evidence. Okay, it improves by confronting the theory, the conjectures that we have about how markets work and how people behave with the data, with the actual evidence of how they behave. Okay, and then in that way we can improve our knowledge, right? We throw out the theories that don't work, we keep those that work, and we keep on improving them. Okay, but it also indicates what's important for you is that it also indicates where the jobs are. Okay, and the jobs are right now, there is a great shortage in the marketplace for people who know how to work with data and how to use data, how to pull the truth. Okay, there is the truth in the data, but you have to have skills to be able to extract that information. And in our program, we have now redesigned or designed a specifically concentration within our economics program that will teach you these tools and methods. Okay. All right. So evidence. Now, I've already mentioned that you can view economics as a toolbox. Okay, so this is a slide about that. And one of the major trademarks of economics, so I have to speed up, is that we focus on causal relationships. Okay, so many people confuse relationship with causal relationship. What would be an example of relationship? I think this graphic just illustrates it perfectly. Okay, so you see the person on the train. Okay, and you see the train is moving. Now, if you were to record the GPS coordinate of a person and a train and at different points in time, you would realize that they are the same, right? Why? Because the person is on the train and the train is moving, right? So they would look the same. So you would conclude there is a relationship between where the train is and where the person is. But what we really want to know as economists is the person causing the train to move, or is the train causing the person to move? And it is very clear to all of us in this particular example that it is the train who is causing the person to move, which is why if you are interested in where the train is going, you should focus on the train, not on the passenger on the train. Okay, so that's important insight. And so in economics, okay, we have a lot of tools, especially empirical tools and theoretical tools, that allow you to extract this cause, first formulate the causal relationship and then extract them from data. And they are then used to evaluate programs like government programs or within the company, different program marketing campaigns, for instance, okay? And also design new policies. So for instance, when it comes to taxes, education, training, different subsidies and transfers. Now we had COVID, so government had a lot of these emergency loan programs, and there is a lot of work for economists to sort out what the cost-benefit analysis of that was. Regulation, very important regulation, right? We have to decide how to regulate cryptocurrencies right now. There's a lot of work for economists to figure out how to do that well. We have to regulate patents, okay? For instance, no company would ever invest money in researching how to make a vaccine for COVID if there wasn't a patent protection, right? If they knew that they could recoup their investments, okay? So that's very important. Different contracts, agreements, okay? Canada has been involved with Mexico and US, right, in past 3 years on the new trade agreement, pricing, marketing, etc. Okay, so these are the skills and tools that you will acquire. This is what our program is focused on. That is abstract thinking, modeling, that's simplifying reality, simplifying the complex words and squishing it into something that's simple and workable and that you can understand, okay? Analytical reasoning, okay, that is just to figure out, once I have something simple in hand, okay, once I figure out how to simplify the maze so that I can understand it, how do I solve that maze, okay? How do I solve that problem? Computer programming, data management, they go together, okay? You will get exposure to computer programming, data management. That is just the future of almost any field, I would say, because of the digitalization of the world. Statistical econometric analysis, I've talked about that. We'll definitely give you the tools and methods to be very proficient in that. And then presentation, writing, communication, we have opportunities for that. We have courses specifically designed to give you exercise and in that. Now, what do employers do? Maybe I'll save these slides for at the end. I don't want to fully run out of time, and I can return to that. Or maybe let me just say here, this comes from a survey of 40 employers in the UK, and one question was, why do you recruit economics graduates? So obviously to work as economists, okay, but this is important, the skills they bring with them, okay, so they specifically value the skills that economics graduates have. This is another question, how do you rate general skills of economics graduate? Okay, the darker the color, the better, right? Fairly high, very high. Focus on these two columns here. Analyze and interpret quantitative data using IT and computers, right? Against the skills. So this is where the edge is. This is where economics graduates have edge, or in comparison to other people that these companies are employing. Okay, our program. So first 2 years, we will get a firm grounding and proficiency in economic theory and in data analysis. We have a series of courses in microeconomic theory, macroeconomic theory, and we'll give you some background in mathematics so that you can focus on the economics going forward. You don't have to worry about, so you are very comfortable with that. And then there is a sequence in statistics and data analysis as well. Okay, so that you will get in first 2 years. That will prepare you well for all the other topical courses that will come in the last 3 years, where you may select one of our concentrations, or even two if you want to. You can combine concentrations. I have divided them into these 4 categories, so we have 8 of them. Economics, data science, again, this is a unique in Canada and very marketable right now because of the things that I talked about, because of there is just such a shortage of people who know how to work with data currently in the marketplace. Financial economics, very popular field for us. We have 2 streams that you can pursue. One where you take mostly economics courses, one where you take mostly business courses. Okay, so it is possible to be within our departments to study economics, but also be able to take a lot of business courses if that's what you like. Okay, so you can choose. Then we have 3 concentrations that focus on individual topics. Development, that's mostly about institutional design in developing countries, poverty, things like that, for preparing you for work in NGOs or government, international organizations. International political economy, that's a concentration that will talk a lot about international trade, international financial flow and flows of goods and services, international agreements, etc. Natural resources, environment, economy, very important very important topic, right? Especially now that there is so much talk about energy and what's going to power the world, environmental agreements, etc. Okay. And then we have two concentrations that are excellent preparation for if you are thinking about graduate school. So if you already know that you would like to go and get PhD or master's degree in economics, then I would recommend that you focus on mathematics and quantitative economics, where you take a lot more math, right? A lot more of those quantitative tools than you would in the other concentrations. Other interesting facts about our program is that we're located in the Canada's capital. There are a lot of these institutions, and all the people who work there, they're right here in the city. You can go and meet them. You can go for internships easily because you live in the city. You can go for co-op opportunities and work there. And also, Carleton has a lot of alumni, okay, who have stayed in Ottawa because they work for government, for instance, and we really benefit from that network, and you will too, as our economic students. Ottawa also has, as you know, an emerging IT sector that's doing really well, represented by Shopify, Python, and all the other companies. As an interesting, I just looked it up yesterday. I looked the list of the most prominent IT companies in Ottawa, and there's like a list of 25 of them. I looked at the top 5. 4 out of 5 has data analytics prominently displayed on their front webpage, which I thought was very interesting. Okay, so that is just linking back to what I was talking about earlier. Now, BCom degree is still unique in Canada, as far as I know. And that's a degree that we grant you after you graduate, and that just immediately identifies you as an economist. Okay, so that's the advantage of that. Our economics data science concentration is also unique in Canada. Okay, there are other data science concentrations, but not within economics department. Okay, so we teach data science from the economics perspective, which is very useful for demands of these companies. The other interesting thing about the program is this co-op opportunities. So here's just a table of some of the most recent co-op placements that we had. The ones in a beige color are government agencies. So as you can see, most of our students go and do co-op with the government agencies, and because they are all located in Ottawa, they now during the pandemic they were working remotely, but hopefully the pandemic is slowly going away, and so you can go in person and work at their offices. We are very successful at placing our students at these co-op jobs, and they really benefit from that. We also have some experiential components in our courses, or courses that are designed with that in mind, to give you practical experience and to teach you real sort of skills that are not necessarily economics, but they are important complement to economics. Such as professional practice will teach you how to write professional reports, memos, how to interact with your superiors, how to boil down complex analysis that you have undertaken and boil it down into simple message that you can then communicate effectively to your superiors. That's very important. Research methods will teach you how to conduct that complex research analysis from A to Z, okay, from the first step to the last step. You can also select in your final year to do honors thesis. That's a year-long project supervised by a faculty advisor. But this is by choice, okay? You don't have to. If you would rather not do thesis, you can do capstone seminar where you do a research paper, but it's not as substantive as thesis. And then we have several other research-oriented opportunities, such as IPAF 4900, where you help a professor with their research, or tutorial, where a professor helps you with your research, okay, if you have some research to do. Our department also offers an interesting course on pandemics. Okay, that was a topic of the day. It's a very popular course. we have economics laboratory, which I am directing. There we design and play computer games with students, and then we study their behavior. There is a Bank of Canada, Canada Central Bank's Governor's Challenge. It's a competition. It simulates monetary policy, and teams of students from various universities in Canada compete on who can govern, who can basically be in the position of a central bank and guide Canada through on a stable path of an inflation rate, which is set at 2%. Now, I am proud to say that our team has made it to the finals last year. So we will see how the team does this year. But you can be part of that, if you do well in your last year. And then we have Undergraduate Economic Society. They throw a lot of different events. They organize speakers, and they engage students. And there are a lot of opportunities for you to get some managerial skills or even get into the ranks of leadership in that structure. You may like to know what would one do after Carleton. I'm almost done. I think it's my last slide. So after Carleton, our students they go and apply for jobs, and many of them end up in government organizations. Some of them get jobs in the industry. And some students go into graduate schools. Every year we send several students to graduate programs. As you can see, I've highlighted some of our placements in the past few years, and these are some of the top programs, I should say, in the world. With a student last year going to London School of Economics. So we are proud of that. The rest of the slide is about some of our most prominent alumni. So one of our graduates is a chief economist commentator at Wall Street Journal, an economic analyst at Amazon is another, or another is working at the World Bank. And some of the most senior people who have graduated many, many years ago are some of the most prominent professors at places like University of Chicago or UPenn, or in the high ranks of government, right? Like Deputy Timothy Lane, Deputy Governor of the Bank of Canada, etc. By the way, here's a link of our featured alumni, so you can find this information on our website if you're interested. This is a fun slide, okay? I think it's the very fun slide. Very last slide. It's just a fun slide. This comes from Business Insider, who was published in February 13, 2020, and has features 50 CEOs of the Fortune 5, some of the top Fortune 500 companies. Okay, and the article focused on their education. So, what type of degrees did they get? And so I just quickly ran down through the list, and I picked up some of the CEOs and included them on this list that have studied economics or have got an economics degree as an undergraduate degree. And as you can see, you are in good company if you choose economics. I'm sure you recognize Elon Musk, but even some other names like Steve Ballmer, co-founder of Microsoft, has economics undergraduate degree. You've got the YouTube CEO here, Susan Wojcicki, LinkedIn, etc. Okay, so it's just for fun to show you, and that's it. Okay, so let me remove my full screen mode, and please, you can copy our emails if you have any other question that pop up later. After our meeting, we are more than happy to engage and answer. And I would now open it up if there are some questions. I wasn't able to monitor the chat because I had the full screen mode, but Rene, how is it going? Were there any questions?
We don't have any questions at this time. Mm-hmm. In the meantime, I'm just going to put the poll back up that I had briefly posted before, just to ask our attendees how many are currently studying economics in high school.
Oh yeah, that'll be nice to know.
Yeah. So we have more respondents now. So 50%. Okay, that's
Okay,
good.
great.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh, we're back
When
down.
I went to high school, we didn't have economics, just the social sciences, I think.
Oh, I took economics in grade 13 in high school.
Okay, great, great.
Actually, now they don't have grade 13 in Ontario anymore, but so I don't know if it still exists. But,
Yeah.
so we have about a 60-40 split right now.
Okay, perfect.
Out of 11 attend, oh well, there's 3 of us, so 8 attendees.
Where do you see the outcome?
The outcome. Oh, you don't
Or
see the screen.
maybe
Yeah.
only you can see.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Maybe. Yeah. So we
Maybe
have
only you can
40
see.
yes and 60 no. 40% to 60. All right. So I'm going to close this. I'm going to go back to the Q&A. And also, I'll mention that we'll be in the chat booth until 3:30.
That's right.
If anyone wants to just join us in the chat room after this presentation. So if you think of your question a little later, feel free to join us there. So it looks like we have.
Yeah, so if you have any question, this would be a time to type it in. And again, if you don't type, if you don't squeeze it in, then we are in the booth.
Okay.
But let's maybe give it 30 more seconds or so,
Okay.
and then
And then we'll have our host stop our video in a few seconds, and then we can, again, we'll be in the chat booth to answer any questions if you have any. Okay. Thanks for coming today.
yes,
We
thanks for
appreciate
coming.
your attendance, and hopefully we'll see you in the Department of Economics.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay.